Less than a week after Tel Aviv's 50-day war on the Gaza Strip came to an end, the Israeli Prime Minister is once again warning about the occupation of the besieged region. Benjamin Netanyahu has defended Tel Aviv's devastating war on Gaza, adding that toppling Hamas still tops the agenda. He said that Palestinians should choose between Hamas and peace with Tel Aviv. Israeli officials are pushing for the disarmament of the Palestinian resistance groups, including Hamas. But Hamas spokesman says any attempt to disarm the resistance groups in Gaza is worthless. Sami Abu Zuhri says it's Israel which should be disarmed for killing children and women. More than 2,200 Palestinians, over 500 of them children, lost their lives during the Israeli offensive. We're now joined by our correspondent Ashraf Shannon, who's with us from Gaza. Ashraf, it was just last week when the truce was implemented that we spoke about this very issue, and you mentioned that the Israelis never respect their arrangements with the Palestinians, and now this statement by Benjamin Netanyahu. Tell us more, please.
Well, Netanyahu's statements are not a surprise to the Palestinians or to anyone. As we mentioned last week, just about after the start of the truce between the Palestinians and Israel under the auspices of the Egyptians, that Israel never respected any agreements with the Palestinians or other people. This is the modus operandi of the Israeli regime. They sign an agreement or a treaty, and they turn around and they start saying something else and implementing something else. For example, like during the so-called Oslo peace treaties of the 90s with the PLO, they gave the Palestinians 20 nautical miles to fish for the fishermen, but technically they only gave them up to 6 miles. And now with the truce agreement, they said they're gonna have the fishing area for the Palestinians up to 9 miles, but so far only 6 miles were allowed for the Palestinian fishermen. They said during that truce negotiations that will let Palestinian farmers farm the entire buffer zone along the eastern perimeter of the Gaza Strip. But the second day of the truce entered, they fired warning shots towards farmers in northern Gaza. So basically, Israel never respected any agreement. And not only that Netanyahu said they could reoccupy the Gaza Strip, he also said that Palestinians must choose also between Hamas movement and peace, as if Hamas was a terrorist organization. Hamas is not a terrorist organization. Hamas is a Palestinian movement. Hamas was democratically elected and democratically and overwhelmingly won the Palestinian Legislative Council elections in 2006. Hamas was the democratic choice for the Palestinians, but Israel, also with the help of the Palestinian Authority at the time, tried to undermine Hamas's democratic election by placing the Gaza Strip under tight siege, and also with the help of former Egyptian dictator Hosni Mubarak. So we do expect some sort of escalation on behalf of the Israelis, especially that Benjamin Netanyahu has been having major political problems within Israel. Other Israeli parties are trying and keep saying that Netanyahu failed politically and militarily during the 50-day war on the Gaza Strip. For the Palestinians say they're victorious, they won the war. And Israel keeps, for example, Benjamin Netanyahu said yesterday that Hamas did not gain anything. He kept saying that Hamas did not get the seaport, did not get the airport, and did not release any Palestinian prisoners. But he forgot to mention that the negotiations for the truce will continue soon, despite his statements.
Ashraf, let's also focus on the situation on the ground for the people of Gaza. We understand that a humanitarian crisis is unfolding with threats of various diseases spreading, a lack of clean water, and a lack of electricity for most parts of the Gaza Strip. Tell us, what are the people of Gaza going through following this devastating, marauding onslaught by the Israelis, and is efficient aid being brought in at a sufficient amount?
Well, Bardia, the problem started when Israel started throwing flyers in areas east of Gaza and north of Gaza as they were about to start the ground invasion, where an exodus of people was taking place in the Gaza Strip. At the beginning, nearly 250,000 people became internally displaced persons living in UNRWA schools and government schools. But by the 40th day of the war on Gaza, there were about 500,000 Palestinians in the Gaza Strip were considered as internally displaced persons, or IDPs, by the UN. Now, when you bring 500,000 people and you put them in schools, no matter what kind of schools are they, no school is ready to cater to 10 or 15,000 people. You know, schools are for school children, not for entire families living there. The bathrooms are unsanitary. The situation was unsanitary, and this is just a fertile ground for diseases to spread among the people. And now, regarding the aid, the aid that came in through the Egyptian controlled Rafah crossing is just small amounts compared to the situation we have in Gaza. Even that aid, if that aid came before the war, that was not enough to alleviate the suffering of 1.8 million people living in the Gaza Strip. The international community must understand, and especially Arab countries like Egypt, the neighbors of the Gaza Strip, that Gaza's population of 1.8 million has nearly 60% of its population are children under the age of 18. So when people blockade the Gaza Strip or block the aid from entering here, they're hurting children, and international organizations must step in and alleviate the suffering of the children of Gaza.
Thank you very much, Ashraf Shannon, our correspondent, speaking to us from Gaza.